So much of life is just noise. Literally just noise. And we hear about this all the time, right? When we see people like Mark Zuckerberg and they only wear gray t-shirts, or somebody else famous, and we're like, oh, why do they dress so simple, right? Because we understand, okay, it's sacrifice, because it's noise, and we clear out the noise so that we have more space to serve. We have more space to be. We have more space to think consciously. But so many of us are caught up in the noise of our life. We're caught up in how we look, or how we sound, or what that person thinks. And life really is about coming out of this. It's about, the journey of life is really coming out of this noise. And the more you come out of this noise, the more you will be able to unleash your service, unleash your brilliance. But it takes sacrifice. And that's how it is with anything in life. We know, right? That if you pursue anything, right, you're going to have to sacrifice your time. You're going to have to sacrifice your social time. You're going to have to sacrifice, people and relationships and friendships in your life, not see them for a few years, right? But what we don't know, and maybe what's not as clear, is that I also have to sacrifice 99% of the noise in my mind. I have to get myself to a state where I'm fully clear, I'm fully present, so I have the space to then flow, to speak authentically, freely, to serve humanity, to think and be aware of, as close as possible, what is the best solution that I can provide to anyone in the moment. And it's this work. It's really this work, right? Because so often we're pursuing the things on the outside, but it's this work of being clear that most of us are missing. And this is why so few people excel and really achieve the heights of their human potential. It's because of this. It's because they get lost in the noise of their mind, right? What people think about them, how they appear to other people, right? Why haven't they, they haven't done, or they're losing hair, they haven't done their hair today. It's just, this is all human stuff. It's part of the human experience, but we ultimately will transcend it in order to serve to the best of our capacity. And it's quite true, because we all have an ego. We all have a very human, very little side of ourselves, right? We can call that the little self. But it's really knowing in your heart what truly matters, right? What is the truth of my life? What is the truth of my purpose? What is the truth of my being? And sometimes that's just something that's revealed every moment, right? Sometimes that's just revealed in the moment to us, right? In the moment, what's revealed to me is like, okay, I am the truth, and the truth is unfolded. But so many of us, we just get lost in the noise, and it doesn't serve us, right? Really what it's doing, the noise is meant to keep you in yourself, right? It's meant to keep your attention on yourself. And so we have many ways of coming out of this, right? People will say, like, the best way to get out of your own head is to help somebody else. Yes, but what if that noise is so prevalent, is so constant, it has such a strong grip and hold over you that you can't, right? That maybe you go and help somebody else, and then you come back and you're like, oh my God, my mind is like, has a position on, I just helped that person, or I didn't help them, and I'm good enough for it, or I'm not good enough for it. And it goes into like this whole, freaking trajectory about, how I helped somebody, and like, how do I get out of my mind, like really for good, for sure. And this is the journey that really we're all on. We're all on this journey of clearing our mind, clearing our head, so that we can not just survive, but thrive. Because until then, until we do this work of clearing our mind, we are lost in the delusion of our mind and the grip and the control that our mind has over us. Literally, that fear governs our behavior. And that really is the work of our lifetime, right? It's coming out of our mind, right? And if you've had significant trauma, if you've had significant conditioning, right? We say significant trauma is like the ultimate conditioning, right? Because the greater the adversity that you've experienced in your life, right? The greater the fear. And the greater the fear, the greater the fear-based mind takes precedence, takes dominance over the brain and the entire experience, the entire inner experience from moment to moment. And literally focuses your attention onto yourself, right? What I did get, what I didn't get, what I need, what I don't need, who did what to me. And so literally when we talk about our children, right, we want our children to be thoughtful of other people. We want them to think about other people. The way in which we do that is literally by filling their tank, by filling their cup, because an empty cup cannot pour, right? And so literally when our children, when we think of them as selfish, right, in that moment, oh my gosh, they didn't think about that other person, they didn't share. Not to look at the behavior, but to look at the root of the behavior. Like, oh my gosh, okay, if they behave in this way, it's because they didn't have enough experience of ownership, right? They didn't have the feeling yet that they actually own that toy or own enough things for them to be able to share, right? And so it's really this way of thinking that we have to train ourselves in, right? It's not about looking at the behavior. It's really about, okay, trying to understand the place that they're coming from. And when we do this, we become so, so powerful, not just in our parenting, but in our relationships, in our life, right? Always trying to understand the root of behavior, right? Why might they be doing that? Why might they be behaving that way? And what might they be experiencing right now? It's life changing. And this is how we change their life, because we are all behaving in whichever ways, right? Most of those ways we're unaware of why we are behaving that way. And the more unconscious we are, the more we're going to be behaving in ways that are just, that really aren't true to who we are. And we don't know it, right? But other people can sense it. Other people can sense like this kind of pleasing energy, or an energy where we're overly rough or aggressive or angry. Other people can sense it. But we don't sense it because we're living and operating as this conditioned being. So with our children, with anybody else, anybody that we meet, right, our goal always is to understand the root of why they might be behaving that way, and then to serve as the remedy, as the medicine for why they might be behaving that way. I hope this helps. I love you so much.